I'd like to welcome you to Page Ahead's 21st annual A Taste for Reading Luncheon. We have a big goal today, and that's to raise $200,000 to help build home libraries for kids who really need them. But I have a pretty good feeling about this crowd. I think we can do it. I'm Brian Gregory. If you're not familiar with my name, I've been on the radio around this town for more years than I can remember, and every once in a while I still show up on Cairo to read the news. And it occurred to me when they asked me to host today that reading is such a huge part of the radio business that I really am grateful that I was an early reader as a very young child and continue to read to this day. It's really admirable what Page Ahead is doing. You may have noticed a couple of special gifts on your chair when you came in today. The special notebooks and pens are from Washington's lottery. They're yours to take home. And our friends at Follett and Book Depot have graciously provided a wonderful picture book for your reading pleasure. Now, if you don't have a child in your life who would enjoy these books, please consider donating your copy to Page Ahead. I'm sure they would love to have them. You can just leave them at your table and the volunteers will box them up after the event. The wine some of you are probably enjoying right now from the great state of Washington, graciously donated by the House of Smith Winery, whose tasting room you can visit in Georgetown. Cheers to them. Now I'd like to welcome to the podium Mark Fitzgerald, the president of Page Ahead's board of directors. When not leading Page Ahead's efforts, Mark works for Effectus Group in technical accounting. I'm not sure if that means he can count the books or if he reads the numbers. But let's welcome Mark Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Brian. I'm not sure who asked the technical accounting numbers guy to come up here and talk about books and words and language, but I'll see what I can do. It's so great to see all of you. Thank you for being here today to support Page Ahead and the kids we serve across Washington. I first want to start by thanking our generous sponsors and partners for the luncheon. First, our platinum sponsor, Amazon. Our gold sponsors, Ankara and EY. And our silver sponsors, AgWest Farm Credit, Washington's Lottery, and Wealth Collab. The generosity of these sponsors means that all gifts of $500 or more, or pledges of $50 a month, will be doubled. More about that later. There's so many groups of people that make this event possible and are committed to the success of Page Ahead. I'd first like to recognize our table captains. If you could please stand if you're able. Thank you for your hard work and support. I'd also like to ask the board of directors, my fellow board, to stand and be recognized. Thank you for all that you do. And then, of course, a big thank you to the many of you who are volunteers with Page Ahead, and of course, Page Ahead staff, Susan Dibble, Lisa Ceniceros, and Laura Lay. Finally, I also want to thank a group of people here who are very special to Page Ahead, Trilogy for Kids. Ladies, can you wave? There they are. These great folks do so much for us. They volunteer to help students select their books during spring book fairs. They raise money all year long to help us purchase books. They even have one of our little free libraries, Book Oasis, that they restock. They're truly the embodiment of community service, and it's our honor to present you with this award in recognition for all that you do. Thank you. For 34 years, Page Ahead has been giving kids the tools they need to be successful readers. Kids don't all get an equal start with reading, so Page Ahead focuses on serving kids facing the most obstacles, like those living where community-level poverty is high, or kids whose home language is different than what they're learning at school. How are you going to be a great reader without having books at home? I know I wouldn't have. I grew up in a household full of all the books I could ever want and more. As a fairly young child, I remember we had a family tradition of reading stories aloud together most evenings. We would go in a circle with everyone taking turns reading a paragraph or a verse out loud. My siblings and I would have particular fun assuming the role of certain characters, creating voices, and having spirited conversations when the stories included dialogue. The subject matter during these evening story times varied, from fun, kid-friendly fiction to difficult religious texts, books with vocabulary and stories far above our age and reading level. Though the ancient language of those religious texts were challenging and the narratives complex, my parents encouraged us to persevere through the difficult passages. I distinctly remember wrestling with thorny words like whithersoever, abominable, and omnipotent, as I tried to make sense of the elevated text. When it was my turn to read aloud, my parents would patiently guide me through the complex sentences and arcane vocabulary so that I could grasp the deeper meanings within the mythical stories of plagues, wars, and miracles. Being exposed to rich language and sophisticated tales from an early age was formative and helped my love of the written word to take root and blossom. As I grew up, I recall always having a book or series of books I was interested in. Some of my fondest memories from childhood include midnight Harry Potter release parties at Barnes & Noble. Show of hands, anyone? Or staying up all night binge reading through the latest young adult series that captured my attention the way a popular Netflix show might today. Goosebumps, Animorphs, and the Redwall series were more enjoyable than any TV show for me. The bottom line is I was lucky. I had access to books, unlimited access. We spoke the same language at home that I was learning at school. I had encouragement and support from family members and peers. And as a result of all this support, my literacy skills were above average. From this strong base, my academic career from elementary through high school felt rather easy. Really, I feel that what limited success I've had in life, I can trace back to being a strong reader from the get-go. These childhood literary experiences taught me so much more than just the stories themselves. They instilled in me essential skills like perseverance, diligence, and determination. They showed me that I should never be afraid to dive into difficult material or give up when the going gets tough. Most importantly, they opened my eyes to the profound power contained within books and ignited my passion to ensure all children have access to that power. That's ultimately why I'm passionate about the mission and work of Page Ahead. They understand that reading isn't just a fundamental skill, it's a fundamental right that unlocks worlds and creates opportunities. Literacy is the foundation for all future learning, and without it, children face vastly diminished prospects in life. As someone whose chosen career is in numbers, I appreciate how Page Ahead follows the research and uses data to track the success of their programs. Those programs are targeted. They focus on the 2 periods in a young reader's life when skill gaps are most likely to form: before kindergarten, and then once they start school during summer vacation. By focusing on those 2 areas, we're working to prepare kids for reading success and then keep their skills up to prevent reading gaps before they can form. I've seen firsthand through my volunteering efforts how transformative these programs can be. When you give kids in need books that they're excited about and a little bit of reading help, it's like handing them the keys to unlock entire galaxies of possibility. Their eyes light up as new worlds, identities, and dreams begin to feel within reach through the pages that they can now understand. So let's talk a little bit about Page Ahead's goals. We want more kids to have that experience and success. So we set a goal to close the literacy achievement gap in Washington by 5% by 2027. To do that, we need to serve 29,000 students with Page Ahead's proven programs. So how are we doing? We started in 2015 serving 4,900 kids. Last year, we served 21,600, quadrupling in 8 years. And this year, we're going to serve 22,322 students in 118 schools around Washington. So you can see things were really picking up steam. The literacy achievement gap was closing. And then you can see what happened. COVID. I'm sure you all know how awful that was for students and learning, but it was particularly bad for the kids that Page Ahead exists to serve. Things are improving, but COVID has a long tail. Our first graders today didn't get to go to preschool because of the pandemic. That's why the extra reading supports that Page Ahead provides are more important now than ever. So what do we need to do next? We need to reach 6,600 more kids over the next 3 years. To reach that goal, we need an additional $400,000 in our budget in 2027, which represents a 42% increase over our current budget. There's much to do, but as I look out into this room, I know that it's possible. This is a solvable problem, and working together, we can do this. I want every child in Washington to have the same chance at success that I did, whether or not they have the same lucky upbringing. I hope you'll join me today in supporting Page Ahead and our mission to foster literacy and lifelong success by providing new books and reading activities that empower at-risk children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Great story and lofty goals, but great accomplishments as well. So, the theme for our event today is celebrating multilingual learners. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know. Last year in Washington, more than 140,000 students were identified as multilingual learners. Pretty amazing, isn't it? That's about 10% of the kids in school across the state. But then, when you look at just the schools served by Page Ahead, that number jumps to 33%. So fully 1/3 of the students Page Ahead is reaching are multilingual. That's definitely something to celebrate. Developing strong literacy skills in multiple languages gives kids such an advantage. It improves cognitive abilities, enhances communication skills, and broadens career opportunities. But it also takes some extra effort and support. Page Ahead provides kids and families with that support. And in the video we're about to watch, you will hear from teachers what a difference that is making at their school.
And we've been very fortunate to be part of the research-based Look Up Summer program over the years. We have a lot of native Spanish teachers here at CPE, and those families always encourage their students to select Spanish language books from our school library during the school year so that they can read together at home. And of course, that's only available during the school year. So having those Spanish language book options and the Look Up Summer choices has been huge. And being able to continue that reading together and enjoy reading with your family over the summer. So thank you. What an incredible gift. And we are also part of the dual language program here in Edmonds. And we currently have kindergarten, first grade, and second grade Spanish classes. So having those Spanish options for those kids who are native Spanish speakers and learning to read Spanish is really important to our school. Last year at the family night, I had a parent who was native English speaker specifically asked, do we have Spanish books for the last summer? And she was really excited that we do. And that her kid got to take home books in the language that they're learning in school and that were at an appropriate level. So Look Up Summer is it's such a great opportunity. I can't say it enough. We're super grateful to be part of it. The books are very high quality and they're what the kids want to read. So they come in beaming, they pick their 12 books, they're excited to see their home language and the language that they're learning in school. So great access, and we know that it's making an impact for our students. So thank you so much.
I love all the happy faces. And I love the way Page Ahead is working so closely with the educators like Jessica to support the work they're already doing in their dual language classrooms. And how nice for families to have their students bring home books to read over the summer that they can read with them in their own language. All right, let's have a little pop quiz. Anybody remember those from school? This will be fun, I promise. Are you ready? Okay. I mentioned earlier that 10% of students in Washington are multilingual learners. How many different home languages do you think are spoken in Washington state schools? 2? 600? If you said 260 different languages, you win. Anybody get close to that? Okay, maybe that wasn't so easy. 260 languages is pretty darn incredible. Okay, I'm going to give you another chance. What do you think are the top 5 languages spoken in Washington schools? How many of you guessed Spanish was number 1? There we go. It's quite a variety. I feel certain our next speaker guessed right on this one. Graciela Madrigal grew up in a home where both Spanish and English were spoken, but she actually didn't become fluent and literate in Spanish until she went to college. Graciela got her BA in K-8 education with a concentration in bilingual education. Today, she's the director of ECAP in Granger, Washington. She drove up this morning from the Yakima Valley to be with us this afternoon and to talk with us about what a difference books are making for the students and families at her school. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Graciela Madrigal.
Thank you for the introduction, Brian. I am so grateful to Page Ahead for asking me to be among all of you today. I am beyond honored. Estoy muy agradecida por estar invitada, por estar con todos ustedes. Es un honor. As I made the drive this morning over the pass, I got a little nervous, un poquito. But then I realized we're all here because we care about children, and we want them to have access to books and fall in love with reading. So I am among friends. I work with 3- and 4-year-olds, so I hope you don't mind if I tell you a story. It's about a little girl. She's the oldest daughter of migrant farm worker parents. Her family makes their way from Texas to Washington to work cutting asparagus. And the work is steady, and they decide to stay. She starts first grade at Granger Elementary. She falls in love with reading. She takes her books everywhere with her. She reads in the car on the endless drive back to Texas to visit family. It is a way to escape, even for a moment. As she grows up, she thinks about what she wants to do. She knows she doesn't want to cut asparagus. That's hard. So she thinks she will be a secretary because it sounds glamorous. She takes advantage of a program offer to help young people and gets an internship doing data entry, which is when she realized that is not the career for her. So the staff at SL Start knows she's in Granger, and there's a job there as a teacher assistant at Head Start. She goes on her first job interview ever. But she goes in, does the interview, learns about the job, and thinks, I can do that. And at 18, that is how I got my start in this wonderful career I love, serving children and families. It turns out I really can do that. Today, I am the ECAP director in Granger. ECAP is Washington State's version of Head Start. Our school serves 80 students, and about 30% of them start off as monolingual Spanish speakers. Another 48% are dual language learners, English and Spanish. My team and I support the multilingual learner by embracing the family's language, learning as much as we can about their traditions and culture, and respecting and celebrating similarities and differences. My goal is to expose kids to the English language. We use Spanish as a support language. All my staff speak Spanish and English. Unos un poquito, otros un poquito más. It is important. It's much easier for children to acquire a new language when there is support in their home language. This is so different from when I started. One of my very first assignments was as a paraprofessional in a kindergarten classroom where we had a newcomer, which is what we call children who were new to the country, new to the culture, new to the language. And I just remember that child's face and how they were so lost, and they were being taught and expected to read in English. It was that kind of experience that led me to get more education. I felt I owed it to students like that to be able to help them. I went to Heritage University in Toppenish and got a degree in education with a concentration in bilingual education. Today, I am working on my third master's, this time in early childhood special education. Learning reminds me of my purpose and how powerful education can be. At my preschool, we have 3 classrooms. Each classroom has an ECAP lead and 2 support staff. It's all inquiry-based learning using creative curriculum. All classrooms currently are studying the water study. Just 2 weeks ago, I had the privilege of taking a video clip for quality with one of my teachers who happens to be in the audience today. And I just got the report yesterday that 16 of her interactions with children were at an advanced stage. So, awesome. As an ECAP director, we accept students who qualify for our program. The qualification is set at the state median income. So to be eligible, a family of 4 would need to be making $39,481 or less. $39,000. Can you imagine trying to raise a family of 4 on that? 29% of our children currently enrolled are on an IEP for language and communication. That is incredibly high. These 3 and 4-year-olds were born during the pandemic. My goal is to gift them with as many experiences possible that include literacy. One of my biggest motivators as an educator has always been around language and literacy. I often see myself in the faces of the students and families I serve. The economic status of a child shouldn't prevent them from having books at home, because as a child, how are you going to become a reader? How are you going to see yourself as a reader without books? And that is why I am so happy to see all of you supporting Page Ahead. I consider Page Ahead a huge part of our success. My love affair with Page Ahead, and I do mean love affair, began 20 years ago. Yes, That is when we started. When we started, we were doing a program together called Reading is Fundamental. Who remembers Reading is Fundamental? Well, that was great. But then in 2017, Page Ahead asked if Granger was interested in being part of a pilot project called Story Leaders. Of course, I said yes. Story Leaders follows the science of reading for emergent readers. Once a month, we start a new book in our classroom. Teachers will read this book in a special way. Story Leaders is built in to our schedule. Once a week, we break into small groups as we speak. The current book we are reading, Are You Ready to Go Outside? My teachers have their handy-dandy read and say planning worksheet. The first read will have questions like, what do you see on the cover? What is happening in these illustrations? What is your favorite way to play outside? At the end of the month, every child gets a copy of that book that they've been reading in class from Page Ahead to take home and keep. By the end of the school year, they have 8 books they've learned at school, and now they have for their home libraries. This is what I love about Page Ahead. Everyone is treated the same. Everyone gets books and has book access at home. That consistency, regularly getting new books, it is planting the seed for the love of reading. We instill in our students, you are a reader. We model our love of reading and our enthusiasm with them. And our students love getting their books. Kids look forward to getting their books. They are theirs. Parents love that their children can read to them the stories. The selection of books is really well thought out, too. I have my personal favorite here. Pete the cat. He is one cool cat. And many of the books we receive also come in Spanish, which is so great for my community. It really helps those parents who only read in Spanish. And it is great for our students as well. Learning to read in Spanish is still reading. We have so much research now. You aren't going to hurt children by speaking and reading to them in another language. You are giving them a gift. Being multilingual is a superpower. I want to talk about the other reason why these books from Page Ahead are so important. In my community, access to books is not so simple. There is no Barnes & Noble in Granger, Washington. Page Ahead has been a great partner to us. Even during COVID, when things were terrible, it was the one thing that saved us during COVID. When we shut down, my teachers didn't even have laptops. Eventually, we got some, and iPads for families, but it took time. Page Ahead was the strongest connection with our families. Those books and those stories were the glue for us. We sent home resources, we recorded ourselves reading the Story Leaders books, and put them on Class Dojo. Inherently, all parents want their children to succeed. The families at our school, they want great things for our children. Sometimes you just need some help to get there. We all have gotten help at one point or another. I know I have taken advantage of programs to help me get where I am today. It makes me happy to see you all here. Knowing that what brings us together is the desire to help children. We all want them to fall in love with reading. And by supporting Page Ahead and working together, we can do that. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Graciela. Let's have another round of applause for her. Really inspiring. You know, she mentioned her favorite book was Pete the Cat. Made me think of my favorite book when I was about 6 was Freddie the Pig. Now, it is my pleasure to invite some very special guests to the stage. Please welcome from Federal Way, the Panther Lake Elementary Players.
Hi, my name is Damien.
Hi, my name is Selena.
Hi, my name is Tia.
Hi, my name is Lilia. Hi, my name is Melinda.
Hi, my name is Adriel.
Hi, my name is Autumn.
Now, before we start the story, I have some Spanish words that I want to inform you the story. Cuidado means be careful. Abuelo means grandfather or grandpa. And hola means hello. I have some more Spanish words. La silla means the chair. Ojos means eyes. And la puerta means the door. Today we're going to be reading Federico and the Wolf, written by Rebecca J. Gomez, illustrated by Elisa Chavardi. Once upon a modern time, a boy named Federico left to buy ingredients to make the perfect pico.
Cuidado.
Called his mama as he pedaled towards the shops.
Mind abuela's grocery list and don't make other stops.
Past the buildings, cars, and cabs, young Federico scurried until he reached the marketplace where people browsed unhurried.
He filled the basket on his bike with romas, herbs and limes, jalapenos, and a peck of Anaheims. He added garlic, pickles, bread, and other market goods. Then he pedaled through the city park, deep into the woods.
A fallen branch has blocked the path, so Rico stopped his ride. With steady force, he pushed and budged the barrier aside.
Hola.
Called on Lobo, catching Rico unaware.
I see you packed a hefty lunch. You got some grub to spare?
Sorry, Lobo, Rico said. I must be on my way. I have to be at Grandpa's shop by 12 o'clock today. Federico grabbed his bike and left the wolf behind. Little did he know the wolf had other plans in mind.
La tienda was deserted. Rico listened, not a sound. The signs had closed, and what were those? Some paw prints on the ground. Federico peeked inside, alarmed by what he saw. A figure waved at him with a large and furry paw.
Abuelo, whispered Federico, pulling off his hood.
Yes, it's me, but I can't see. Come closer if you would.
I think you need a shave. Your beard has grown so thick,
You think so?
said El Lobo.
Steady grooming does the trick.
Your arms have gotten grande.
My new workouts made me strong.
New dentures too?
They help me chew because they're sharp and long.
By now the wolf is drooling.
All this chatter's getting old. I'm hungry, Bob. I need some grub before I pass out cold.
Okay, Rico said. Let me see. I've brought your favorite treats. Whole grain bread, a cabbage head, a jar of pickled beets. El Lobo's nose began to twitch.
Mi niño, here's the deal. Set those yucky things aside and make you my meal.
He bounded from La Silla with a grunting, growling shout, but Rico tossed some chili powder straight into his snout.
The wolf inhaled. He sniffed, he snuffed, he itched and twitched and wheezed. He tried to wipe his drippy nose, but sneezed.
Achoo!
Federico ducked and dashed and rummaged through his sack.
Not so fasty, tasty type. I haven't had my snack.
But Rico quickly plotted. When the wolf's mouth opened wide, he grabbed un habanero and jammed it deep inside.
El lobo gulped. He gagged, he coughed. His ojos blazed bright red. Steam was puffing out his ears.
I need to dunk my head.
He hurled through La Puerta with a shirking, gasping scream and dashed as fast as he could towards the distant stream.
Ayuda!
Cried Abuelo from inside a bolted box. Rico found him safe and snug in just his shorts and socks.
Gracias.
He scrambled out with shouts of pride and joy.
I thought the wolf would do us in, but you prevailed, my boy. They cleaned the mess and Gramps got dressed and shared a bit of lunch. How about we make a sauce that packs a special punch?
They chopped and diced, used lots of spice, and simmered sauce all night, then bottled their concoction, Old Spain salsa extra bite.
The end.
Wasn't that great, everybody? Let's hear it one more time for the students from Panther Lake Elementary and their dual language performance of Frederico and the Wolf. Great job. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you, if you didn't meet her already, Laura Lay. Laura is a local product of Highland Park Elementary and Lakeside School. She joined the Page Ahead team in February of this year, but that's not her only connection to Page Ahead. I'll let her tell you about that. Please give a warm welcome to Laura Lay.
Thank you, Brian. As a kid, you hear a lot about the concept of bedtime stories. Yet to me, it was always just that, a concept. My mom couldn't read to me. Children's books in Vietnamese were hard to come by, and so I felt sad that I was missing out on what was touted as a mainstay in childhood. When my Highland Park Elementary School librarian showed me our multilingual section, I grabbed the first bilingual Vietnamese book I saw, checked it out that same day, and crawled straight into my mom's bed when I got home. I asked her to read it to me, and she said, "Okay, but you have to read the English to me." I don't remember the title or even the plot, but I remember laying there with my mom, reading together. While I don't have many memories of bedtime stories, I do have countless memories of my mom encouraging me to read. From weekly trips to the White Center branch of the King County Library to the unique reading knickknacks she would find me, bookmarks, mini lamps, and even hair baubles shaped like books, I will always associate childhood reading with my mom. Now, I'm going to pivot a bit and talk about my 4th grade teacher, Miss Napolitan. Miss Napolitan was the best teacher ever. And she's also the next person after my mom that comes to mind when I think of my love for reading. Miss Napolitan would fill our classroom library with books that we as kids wanted to read. If she knew someone was interested in a certain topic or saw someone start a new series, those were the books that would magically show up in the classroom. My favorite book is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle. I had checked out a copy from the school library after watching the early 2000s movie with my family and fell in love with the writing and the story. Miss Napolitan bought all 5 books in the series just so I could read them. Now, the other books in the series were good, but I distinctly remember hiding only the first book in my desk just so no one else could pick it and I could read it whenever I wanted. The day I was able to own my own copy of that book was a cause for celebration, mainly for me, but also for Miss Napolitan, who needed that classroom copy back. I took my book everywhere. I took it on any vacation we took, on any overnight school trips, and heck, I even took it to sleepovers at my friends' houses. I read A Wrinkle in Time whenever I could. It was my emotional support book. You can imagine how heartbroken I was when I thought I lost this copy of my book. I scoured my house for it, and when my mom told me it was a lost cause, I immediately drove to Barnes & Noble, used my hard-earned babysitting money, and bought a brand new copy. This brand new copy traveled with me to Southern California for college. However, in college, I barely had time to read for fun. I quickly fell in love with chemistry, and I didn't want to do anything else. It was a no-brainer to me that I was going to major in chemistry. I did a little course sampling, of course, in many different subjects, but nothing was easy to me like chemistry was. I could do it for hours in a row and still feel fascinated by it. People would tell me stories about their friends who don't use their degrees in their current jobs, and I truly never thought I'd be one of those people. I was a diehard chemistry major. I dreamed about elements, and I even imagined all the silly ways I could fit something chemistry-related on my future license plate. But being a college student in the height of the COVID shutdowns made me reevaluate what was really important to me. I reflected on the jobs that I had done and realized that while chemistry was my favorite school subject, I actually was always looking for jobs and roles in my community, not in labs. I realized that what I really wanted to do was to give back. A few months ago, while looking for books to give to my younger cousin, my mom and I discovered this original copy of A Wrinkle in Time. So, of course, I now own 2 copies of A Wrinkle in Time. The replacement copy I bought after I lost Old Faithful here, and the original trusty, albeit now it's a little bit crusty, copy of A Wrinkle in Time that was given to me by Page Ahead when I was a student in Miss Napolitan's 4th grade classroom. Don't worry, my cousin did leave with plenty of books that day, but just not this one. In hindsight, it feels like it was predetermined on that fateful day during a Books for Kids event at Highland Park Elementary School in the early 2000s that I would come to work for Page Ahead, but I'll argue that my mom set me up for a career in helping kids get the chance to read like me long before I ever laid eyes on A Wrinkle in Time. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite Darby Ducombe to the stage.
Thanks so much, Laura. That is just really amazing. And to be here with Graciela, too, and the 20-year love affair with Page Ahead. I can't believe that it was 20 years ago today that 2 incredible, fabulous women from my life, Burl Simpson and Chris Lambright, were you guys here? They were going to be here. Dragged me and recruited me to be on the board at Page Ahead the same time that Laura was starting kindergarten with Page Ahead. I mean, we've come full circle. I just love it. I just love it. Page Ahead has evolved so much since then. Since 2005, right? So there was no book up summer then. Our beloved program was created because Page Ahead followed the evidence. The study after study started to point the finger at the summer slide, and we knew that was a reason for a majority of kids' reading loss, and we wanted to go after that. We flipped our business model from giving kids 3 books a year, three books 3 times a year during the school year, to 12 books right before summer break, and Book Up Summer was born. It was that simple. We just turned our business model on its head. That powerful intervention helps keep kids reading over the summer. It keeps that reading muscle strong so that when they come back in the fall, there's been no reading loss. That Book Up Summer program is that impactful. But summer isn't the only time gaps form. Gaps also occur before school even starts. And Page Ahead, again, followed the evidence, created the Story Leaders program to address preschool reading needs. Oh my gosh, let's give it up for Granger. 77% reading achievement. That was amazing. That is amazing. When you can prevent summer reading loss, and when you can build early literacy skills and shower kids with books, you can close the literacy gap, you can end illiteracy. That is what we want to do. That is what we must do. But this isn't just about reading. When we grow readers, we grow local students who become engineers, mathematicians, and scientists. They become our friends and family at Amazon, Boeing, Google, Ancura, Ernst & Young, and all the other great Seattle companies that we have. But first, we have to grow readers. We must give every kid in need a chance to read and access to the wonder and magic that is literature and science. And all of us together in this room, well, we're going to do it right now. And I know you're getting anxious. I know you're getting ready to leave. And in a moment, I'm going to ask those table captains to get out their packets. But wait. No, just not yet. Because right now, I need to emphasize for you how important every dollar really is. First of all, if you think literacy is expensive, I'd love you to think again. We have just 235,000 students in kindergarten through second grade in Washington State. To serve the 80,000 kids living in poverty is just $4 million a year. And it's just $1.5 million a year to reach Mark's goal of serving 29,000 kids a year. Compare this with the 2024 Seattle Police Department budget of $400 million, while we're closing libraries. So, don't get me started. To all you lovely people in the room today, we need you more than ever. The goal for today is to raise $250,000 in this room right now. And already we have support from numerous generous donors. Thank you to the people who have already given, my good pal Sharman being one of them. We have already raised $50,000. Many of them couldn't be here in person, and they're going to watch later online. I see you. Thank you so much for your generosity. We know that reading frequently and reading things you enjoy is the best, easiest, and most efficient way to build your reading scores or skills. But what's the best, easiest, and most efficient way for Page Ahead to do what it does? Giving frequently. I make a habit of donating monthly automatically, so then I don't have to think about it. And I can have more of an impact. Because my gift is spread out over the year, I can give significantly without writing one big check. But don't get me wrong, we love your big checks. Big checks are great too. Now remember, every gift of $500 or more will be matched. And that counts for monthly gifts too. If $500 seems like too much to write out once, what if you did $50 a month? $50 a month gives a home library to 12 kids. You would be helping a kid a month. And your donation will be matched, the same as if you wrote one check for $500. Imagine yourself giving books to an entire classroom of kids. Does it seem out of reach? It's really not. A monthly gift of $100 will provide an entire classroom with books to read all summer long. That's what I do. Or you can give more. You could serve an entire school for $10,000. Imagine the impact you could have. Page Ahead is on its way to give books to every eligible kid in Washington State, and now it's up to us to make that happen. Okay, thank you. Table captains, please hand out your pledge cards. Please make a generous donation to Page Ahead so we can give more books to kids like those in Jessica and Graciella's classrooms, and the wonderful Panther Lake kids, and all the children who deserve books of their own this summer. Please be as generous as you can. And now here's Brian with some final announcements. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Darby. Before we continue, and I am going to repeat a little bit of what she said and urge you to give here in just a moment, but Page Ahead doesn't just get feedback from teachers. As Mark mentioned earlier, Page Ahead is reaching more than 22,000 students this year. It's a pretty amazing number. And in addition to learning to become strong readers, they're also learning how to write. I'd like to share some of their feedback from this. Kiona writes, I received books from Page Ahead for several years, and my reading score went from an M to a W. I even have my own bookshelf at home for my books. My little brother reads my books when I was done with them. Now he is in kindergarten, and he gets books from Page Ahead. Pretty cute. And here's another one. Dear Page Ahead, thank you for the 12 free books, and I love how you publish so many books. I mean, thank you for the best books in the world. I had my mind blown when I read the books for the first time, and that was very super nice. P.S. I put all my heart and effort in this. Thanks, Yanni Bose Elementary. That's pretty nice. Yanni, you did put all your heart and effort into that, and we appreciate it. So again, we'd like to thank Darby for her remarks today, and I hope you'd like to heed Darby's request and give generously this afternoon. And please, don't forget to check with your employer to see if they will match your gift. It makes a big difference. Table captains, please collect your guest donations and put them in your folders. Leave your folders on the table. Our volunteers will come around to collect them. I'd just like to thank you again to our corporate sponsors and partners, including Amazon, Ankara, and EY, and thank you to everyone here for helping put books in kids' hands. Thank you for coming this afternoon, and thank you for making a difference in our kids' lives and our community. It's a nice day. You have a wonderful afternoon.